I call the capital, my mind is off today. All right, I call the Board of Supervisors budget meeting to order. All right, the first order of business is our capital improvement budget. All right, Mr. Gill.
You want to do the pledge?
Oh, yeah. My mind's off today.
You been gardening all day?
Yes, I have. I now am in the relaxation mode. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yep. I passed by, I saw Bill Lee's garden tilled and everything. Oh, man, I got to get it.
All right, Mr. Chairman, as part of the overall budget, the capital improvement budget was considered by the Planning Commission in February. They held a public hearing in March, and they have forwarded what's on the screen to you. Really, you only need to be concerned about FY24 because the outer years will come back to you for consideration in succeeding years. You see the two items at the bottom of the page highlighted in yellow. That is the new school, which was approved last year. This is year 2 of a 3-year project, so that's why you see the figure in FY25 highlighted as well. You know that the funding has already been secured for that. Also, under that is $5 million worth of public access site funding, and that funding has also been secured. So you're dealing with, I believe it's 11 items in FY24. No one from the school system is here. I don't think anyone is online either, but they've got pretty minimal requests this year. It's a school security grant matching funds. That's a maximum of $62.5 if they are awarded that grant. That's been a capital improvement item for many years. They also have school bus replacements down further. They're on a 2-bus 1 year, and then 1 bus the following year, and then 2 buses. So it's a 2-1, 2-1, 2-1 rotation. So that's why it's $271,000 in FY24. This is a 2-bus year. And I think that's the only 2 requests other than the new school for the school system. So we do have Matt Smith, EMS chief, here to talk about the items that he has, and I think he's got three of them in FY24, and Donald Brown, solid waste supervisors, here to talk about his one request, which I think is a no-brainer. And I think Jeffrey Haywood, Lieutenant Haywood, is online to talk about the sheriff's office requests if you have any questions. So I think the biggest item is the $1 million in extra funding for the P25 digital radio upgrade, and Matt will explain how that figure came about. And that's in addition to the $3.2 million that was approved in FY23. You'll remember that the board considered various contracts and settled on going with federal engineering last fall to design the system, which would have us become part of the regional L3 Harris system that almost all counties are going to in our area. So Donald's only got 1 item, so I would suggest if you could let him go first, and then he wouldn't have to stay for any more of the meeting. So I'll just throw that out there for you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Brown? Come on up, sir. They say, come on down.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We're requesting to replace the county recycling truck, which is a 2003 Dodge Ram 3500. It's been used for many years, approximately 20. It currently has over 600,000 miles on it. It is currently out of service at the moment and awaiting another transmission. We don't know when it will, if it ever will be back in service. Probably not. But that's all I have on that one item. I'm free to take any questions that you may have at this
Hopefully the
time.
new one will be as good as the old one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think that.
What brand is the old one?
what, excuse me?
What brand is the old one?
It's a Dodge Ram 3500.
Gotcha.
Was it a diesel?
That was a
yeah.
diesel, yes. So-
You were planning to replace it with a diesel?
No, this figure does not have a diesel replacement.
Should we-
Trucks are hard to get right now. Actually, we had the truck that Donald drives as for a replacement in FY '23 that was approved, but due to the shortages at dealers' lots, we have yet to get that. We were able to get a truck to replace the recycling truck within the amount that was approved in FY '23. So we've actually got a new truck on the road hauling the recyclable trailers under the FY '23 capital improvement budget, but we still don't have the replacement truck for Donald. So really, we're going to be using this money to replace the truck that he has. That's going to be equipped with a snowplow also to clear the sites, which will aid, we've got one maintenance truck with a snowplow, but it'd be good to have two. That's been ordered, but it won't be here until July. So really, the
I guess
transmission.
We're not getting any snow next year.
Yeah, the transmission going on the recyclable truck came after the one truck was approved in FY '23, and we were able to grab one, so we did. And so it's actually flip-flopped. We're going to be replacing, we've already replaced the recyclable truck, and we're going to be replacing Donald's truck with this money.
Yeah, that's not the first time we replaced that transmission.
No, that truck has been in the shop quite a bit, hasn't it, Donald?
I believe this would be the third transmission for this vehicle.
Yeah, it's time
That's
to go.
ridiculous.
Time to get
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
But, and Michael Lee, who drives the recyclables, he likes his new truck very much.
I haven't heard him complain from him
Yeah,
lately.
yeah, but this one is a Ford, it's a F-350, heavy duty, and, but it's a gas burner, but so far, it's running, doing a good job.
And this transmission replacement was under warranty,
Yeah.
by the way, so.
So our goal would be to get the current truck fixed and have that as a backup in case something happens. And so so that's the whole story on that.
I'm okay with them buying a new Ford.
Yeah, and as I said, the one that's coming in July will already be equipped with a snowplow and four-wheel drive.
Yeah,
So,
If he had said Dodge, then I'm not
All right, any questions, gentlemen?
No.
All right, thank you. Mr.
All right,
Brown.
thank you all.
Okay, who you want to go with next?
no, it's up to you. I mean, Matt's here and Jeffrey's online, but Matt's here. Matt, you want to go?
All right, so I'll start small and work up. The item number 2 on the list, the stretcher retention system, is a continuation from our ambulance project from last fiscal year. When we did that project, the original plan was to repurpose one from another unit, but with mechanical changes that have taken place over the past year, that's just not feasible. So that's a required component of our vehicle. It's the same exact one we put in the one we did in 2019. I have a 50/50 grant for that system also in the works, but I won't hear back from that until June. Does everybody know what I'm talking about? It's the stretcher for the ambulance and then the system that holds it, and it is powered. So, any questions on that item? I put the grant in would ultimately be for 30,000, and then the other 30,000 we would have to match it with. The second part is the addition of a F-250 or 2500 truck. For us, the truck just is a whole lot more feasible logistics-wise. I use my personal vehicle pretty much daily to get stuff done. The other Tahoes are also wearing out, and so often the other Tahoe is acting as the primary vehicle while one's in the shop. So, but on a day-to-day basis with logistics and moving stuff around, and then if we ever have anything, getting the trailer situated, the 2,500 is just a lot better option for us. And with the ability for the regional project, I'm going to push the truck through the Homeland Security Grant, which is closing in the next couple of weeks. I won't hear that back until after probably midsummer on the results of that. But part of that is it has to be a new vehicle. I haven't seen anything that allows for used vehicles. So with the ordering window, that it's going to be challenging. But and that's another project too, between the chassis receival and the upfitter. It's a 1.5 to 2 year project. So everybody I talked to in February at the convention is backlogged 8 to 12 months to take on new projects
What's that for?
for the upfitting.
Uh,
So that part's been challenging. The biggest item I have
Let me ask you
is,
a question, this just from my personal knowledge. What's the difference between a quick response vehicle and just a response vehicle?
they're the same thing.
Same thing, okay.
The biggest item I have is the continuation from the radio project. It's the second and third part. The second part is the microwave backhaul. So the original quote that we got, it took a while to build, but we finally got the build done. So the original quote last fall was $712,000. I just got the latest quote due to inflation at $870,000. So I'd already put 15 to 20% cost difference. I went ahead with the 20%, and that's how I came up with the total figure. The second part of the project is the joining fee. It is $20,000 for the initial joining fee to the regional system, and then it's $20,000 per site after that. So that's that total, and then the annual cost will be calculated later on. So I took between the microwave backhaul and the joining fee, I had already calculated the 20% in, so that's how I just got to the $1 million.
And again, this is part of that federally mandated program to switch us to digital that has to be completed by 2025. But as Matt and I have talked about, you know, the federal government could push this back. And I mean,
Are we even on target to meet that? Is it even possible?
It'll be about 2 years probably before the system's up and running from
Because
the
I mean,
contract signage date.
construction, like,
Yeah.
I mean, just the way time's moving, it's hard to me to believe that we could even meet that, even if we could break
With-
ground next week.
With us, Northumberland and Richmond County coming on board, they've already started logistically putting a lot of the equipment together available. So most of it is already staged, because Harris is located right in Lynchburg is their main headquarters, so everything is pretty close by for us. The microwave, so the Harris portion is just for the radio system. The microwave system is when you look on the tower and you see what looks like a dinner plate, it's just a data relay. It connects all the sites together, feeds back to the radio core, and feeds back to the dispatch center. And then eventually, the microwave will be primary, but they're also looking to do a fiber backup once that system gets in place. So you'll have two sets of systems, a primary and a backup system for the whole entire network.
What do we estimate the final cost to be when it's at completion?
Probably just under 5.
5?
but I know there's some grant opportunities out there as well, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then it'll be time to update to P30.
No, we'll be set here for a long time. I think the next thing coming will be satellite probably.
How much grant money do you think is available for that?
It just depends on the grant, really. Some of the larger ones cap it at 250,000, but that's just for one component.
Okay, any additional questions? Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I may have the final presentation ready for the May meeting also.
Okay.
Thanks,
For the May meeting? Okay.
Don, is the plan to basically fund these other items out of the operational budget?
Yes, it is. And, you know, the biggest item here, you see at the bottom of 24, it says 30.7 million. 29 of that's already been funded, so you're only looking at 1.7.
And some of that's
Yeah.
probably not even get done this year either.
Exactly. You took the words out of my mouth. I mean, that million that we're earmarking for the P25 digital
It's
radio
likely
upgrade.
next year
Yeah,
at least.
it may happen in FY 25. So, you know, realistically, I think we can handle this out of the general operating budget.
Because I added it up, and I came up with $1,739,783.
Right.
783, so that's really what we're looking at.
That's what you're looking at, and again, I don't know how much of that million is going to actually be spent in FY '24. So, that would be my recommendation, just to handle these expenses out of the general operating budget. I know Lieutenant Haywood is online. Jeffrey, do you have the list of capital improvement items in front of you? I know you were doing some side work today. Are you muted, Jeffrey? Is he on by phone or by? Okay, but he's on by Zoom, by computer? Okay. I'm gonna text him real quick, tell him. Try him again. Jeffrey, can you hear us? Jeffrey Haywood, can you hear us? Hey, we caught a little bit of that. Can you hear us? Well, while he's trying to come in, I'll go through his list. The first one is the patrol car. The sheriff's office buys one patrol car in the capital improvement budget. They also lease one in their general operating budget. $42,000, that's state bid. Next item is sheriff's office tasers. This is for, I believe, maybe 10 of the multi-shot tasers, which are different and upgrade from what they currently have. And that's a total of $45,498. The next item is laptops for the patrol vehicles, replacing multiple ones. I'm not sure exactly the number. I want to say it's maybe 10 as well, for $43,510. The last item in FY '24 that Jeffrey has is the cyclical replacement of HVAC units on the jail, and that's for, I believe it was two heat pumps for different areas of the jail. And they've got that staggered. They replace these on a annual basis, different ones each year to keep them up to date. So Jeffrey,
Yes, I've unmuted it, but I didn't say anything. Hello?
hey Jeffrey,
Hey,
okay, you can hear us now.
yes, I can. I don't know. Ever since they started working on these towers behind the office, I'm about ready to shoot one of these guys off the towers.
It sounds like you need a sander to get you straight there.
I've got her up on the roof with an antenna coming down to me.
Are you like,
So,
yeah, no, I just went through your list of items. I don't know if you could hear me, but take it from
I heard that. And two of the things, the HVAC in the car is a just yearly thing that we do to just keep an upgrade to keep ahead of problems. We've been doing really good with the Explorers and that kind of thing. The guys like them. And of course, we haven't had any snow to be able to move around in, but there's still that option there. So everything's good there. The computers that I've asked for, I've been trying to upgrade a little bit as we go along, but the issue is, since we went with the new computer system we've got, which is Central Square, the guys are able to use the computers a whole lot more. So because of the age of the laptops they have in their cars, they're having issues with them being slow. So I wanted to use this opportunity to get everybody that is on the road a computer so that they can communicate with dispatch and have it work much more efficiently. That's why I put in for that.
How many of those, Jeffrey? How many of those laptops?
It's 10.
10, all right, okay.
Yep, and we like I said, we've been buying them along, but if I can get these 10, that'll get everybody back to where they need to be, and I can rotate them after that and keep everybody where they need to be. And it's worked really well with this new system. Everybody likes it, but they're just the age of them. I met with the Panasonic rep a couple months ago, and he said, the age of the 54s, and you know how computer things go. He said, you just need to upgrade. Once you upgrade, he said, you're gonna see much better speed. So the other thing is with the tasers. The tasers we've had for a while, and a lot of people that were certified have left the office, retired, what have you. So we didn't have anybody that was certified, and we didn't have representatives to get us the tasers. With things that have happened in the past, recently, not the past, but we want to go to a more use of force curriculum where we can use other things other than deadly force. We want to keep up with what Cross America is doing. We wanted, with escalation of force, we want to use as little as we have to before we have to go to deadly force. And thank God we live in Lancaster County and where we are that we don't have to use that option that much. But we want to have available to us everything that we can use without having to do that. And the mental health crisis since 2020, we've had a lot of issues with mental health. We've had to go hands-on, different things. If that can take a subject down without an officer getting hurt or the person getting hurt, that's the option we'd like to use.
I would just say, I would like us to be as proactive as possible in any of that type of training necessary, because the consequences of an accident or something happen like this happened in other communities would be financially detrimental, catastrophically detrimental compared to the small investment of being proactive in proper training.
Sure. And that's what the command staff at the office has talked about. This includes training the officers that are going to get these. Also, there's capability of it records how long the taser was deployed, different things that the Commonwealth can use to help us and him with prosecuting a case or whatever the situation may be. And so it's perfect technology to advance helping the Commonwealth and us as well.
Jeffrey, are we replacing our old tasers with these, or this is in addition to the tasers?
Yes, no, replacing the older ones, as you can, it's technology. I took this technology back in 2006 when we first got them. So you can imagine what's, come along since then. Because like I said, they can monitor how long the taser was deployed, that was actually tasing the person, how many tasers were used. So that way, if they say, oh no, they tased him, God forbid the situation where somebody died from this, they can say, okay, well, it wasn't us. We only did this once. It went from there, but there's more that we can use that'll help back us up as well.
These are multi-shot tasers too, Jeffrey, correct? Whereas the ones you currently have are not, right?
Well, we looked at the Tasers 10 since I put in for the Taser 10s. We've got to go with those. We would have to go through the firing range just like we would our guns every year. So rather than doing that, we're going to let that slide. So it may be probably I'm sure it's gonna be less than what I'm looking for, because we're not quite ready to go to the range every year with everybody twice to do tasers and guns. So we're going back to the taser 7s, but there's been, upgrades, in technology to the taser 7s, and we're comfortable with where they are versus the 10s.
So the answer is, no, it's not a
Yeah, what I'm hearing is the 7 is not a multi-shot, but the overall
No,
cost is going to come down.
It's a two-shot. We can do,
two-shot.
we can do, when it fires 2 probes versus, well, you can adjust them. The old ones we had fired 2 probes, but they shot straight. This one, we can adjust it to where we want. But, the technology, like I said, again, of what's there is a whole lot better than what we have. And plus, we have the training that comes along with the price that comes with that, to help us out. A lot of our new people don't have the training with that, and we want to give them the training.
Okay. All right, any additional questions?
I don't have a question, and this is not, this is just information going forward for future years, maybe next year. Don, if you remember, in the planning commission, it was brought up whether this should be in the capital improvement. The way that capital improvement, and Don probably explains better, it's an item that's $10,000. And coach, should it be lumped, should you be able to lump 8 or 9 items together to come up to that amount? So that's something we need to think about. You know, should this, like this thing, should be in the sheriff's department regular budget instead of in capital improvement?
Well,
So
yeah, and the way it's always been done is if it was a multiple of the same thing, like 10 tasers that people were grouping together to maybe get above that $10,000 figure, we've allowed that if it was multiples of the same item. But now, you know, if Jeffrey came in and said, had on here that I got $5,000 worth of office equipment and $5,000 worth of tasers, then we wouldn't allow that as an item because neither one of those items added up to the $10,000 threshold. But if it's an item that, you know, had multiple ones, that we've always allowed that. But there was some discussion at the planning commission level about, you know, these items maybe should be in the regular annual budget. But I've got mixed feelings on that because these are not annual things. They're going to last 5 years. And so we can have that discussion later. We decided to carry forward this year because, you know, the budget had already been presented. All these things had been, you know, set in motion. And so that's why we went ahead with it this year. But the next budget call won't go out until January 1 of 24. So we can maybe have some discussion at some point in time, maybe even raising the threshold, because the capital improvement item as we define it, and it's not defined in state code, this is our local definition, is an item that costs at least $10,000 and has a life expectancy of at least 5 years. So maybe we need to, you know, increase that amount, you know, and maybe further define whether we allow multiples of the same item or not.
that's why I brought it up for future discussion. So
Yeah, and I respect what that means, but we went back to the supervisor staff and we were talking, so, okay, so there's these items like this, so 1 year you're gonna have your budget raised up $50,000 to get those items, and
Yeah.
next year you're gonna bring it back down $50,000?
Yeah, that's
So-
a good point.
Your budget's gonna be a seesaw thing the whole time if that's not accepted with the capital improvement, and that's my view on it.
And that's a good point, Jeffrey. Your annual operating budget could fluctuate greatly between years if these items were in the annual operating budget as opposed to the capital improvement budget.
I mean, to me, capital improvement items, not necessarily a dollar amount, it would be something that depreciates over time and you replace it
Yeah.
as like a piece of equipment of some kind.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I
you know,
mean,
these can be considered equipment, and they're going to last more than 5 years.
I mean,
so,
I would
yeah.
agree, it'd be like
Oh,
computers.
absolutely, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Bundling computers together as an entire office set of computers essentially would be the way you would do it
Yeah.
anyhow, so. I have no other questions or comments.
Okay. All right, that's it. Thank you, Lieutenant Haywood.
Yep. Thank you for your time, gentlemen. I'm gonna pack my bags and I'm heading to Blacksburg for the spring game.
Go Hokies.
Right,
The Hokies will be sure to win that one.
Absolutely.
enjoy.
It's a spring game, so.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
All right.
All right.
All right, Mr. Gill.
The last item on the capital improvement budget is the Bright System server replacement, and Glenn can speak to that. That's the brains of every computer software system that's operated in this building. And the server has passed its useful life or will hit that threshold here very shortly. So Glenn can explain that much better than I can.
Is everyone satisfied with the Bright system here?
You know, I think so. It's an old system, but it serves its purpose. To my knowledge, I would say, you know, maybe most counties in the state are still on the Bright system. You know, it's a very old system, but it's worked good over the years. Glenn has seen it for you know, many, many years, and the updates are there, timely and good. We've got a lot of older people working in the administration building, and you know how technology is with older people. And, you know, if you're going to make a switch to a different system, there's a tremendous learning curve there that, you know, I don't think we want to go there yet.
I got you.
So, pretty much everything I was going to say,
And expensive.
you just said. It is, you know, it is, you know, when you look at the accounts payable and payroll, tax assessment, tax collection, it basically is the host for all of what we would consider to be mission-critical data that we, you know, that we have, you know, that we work with in this building. So, the life cycle on these machines is, you know, is usually in the 6 to 8 year range. We've had the current machine since 2017. We've been notified by our IBM rep that the one that we have right now is going to go end of life in March of 2024. So that would be within this, you know, this upcoming budget cycle. And like you know, like Don said, we've got a lot of people that, I mean, I've been working with this system since 1998. You know, with the software system, you know, that runs on this server. And we've got we've got a handful of people that have been working with it about the same amount of time, and very much, you know, very comfortable with it, and even some anecdotal information that I've gotten from some of the constitutional officers, you know, from other localities would indicate that the young people that are coming on board are not really having that much trouble getting used to it, even though it looks very archaic. It's pretty easy for them to grasp. So there are other systems out there, but that's another low six figures expense.
And I can attest to the steep learning curve and the nuances that come from years of experience of working with those programs, because you learn a lot of nuance of how things work and what you can do and what you can't do, and that's really valuable. And having lifted that lift under and tried to learn a new system, I could understand the difficulty.
It takes a long time. We've already got some experience with we are working on moving one area off of the Bright system onto a new system. That would be for the building inspections and building permits. And we've been working on that for a long time. We're almost done, but it's been a very heavy lift as far as the time to set up everything and do the training. And we haven't even gotten. We're probably at this point just going to start fresh with that system and not try to convert any of the existing data. That's another thing that that we wouldn't have that luxury when talking about the taxes and payroll and everything. We would have to migrate data into a new system, and that's another part of the heavy lift.
Does the school system use the Bright system?
Yes.
Yeah, they've been using it for a long time as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And is that routine for the appropriating board and the school system to use the same system? Or does it just happen to be us?
It just kind of happens to be us. It's,
Which is good though, right?
School system sort of was forced to use the Bright system.
Forced to use it?
Yeah. All right, because they had a better system that they were using for the schools, but they wanted to be able to watch the school budget online anytime they wanted to. So,
Well, it makes it easier in the treasurer's office too for reconciliation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it really does.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, so they've gotten used to it now. The ones that are there now don't even know what was in the past.
And just to complete the story, we have another group of, a small group of people that also use the system over at the Department of Social Services.
Yeah.
They use it for payroll and accounts payable.
Okay.
Oh.
We have to
That's-
have it,
Well, okay.
unless you guys want to do a whole new system.
No, I just asked that question. All right, so,
Okay?
okay, thank you, sir. All right, what's next?
Yeah, that's all the capital improvement items
That's it, yeah.
for FY '24, and those items are in the overall budget on pages 47 and 48. You can find those again in the overall budget, that you have a paper copy in front of you tonight.
Hey, I do have one question, Don. So you mentioned that the, replacing, you said 2 heating units at the sheriff's office. Is that heating and cooling or just heating?
No, it's a heat pump, it's both. I believe, Jeffrey's gone now, but I
It's
believe.
heating and cooling?
It's heating and
Okay,
cooling,
gotcha.
yeah. Yep.
Okay, that takes care of capital improvement, as far as I know.
I mean, is it the board's wish to carry forward with that as the planning commission has recommended?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, okay. All right, let's see if this comes up, okay. Well, this is the overall budget synopsis page, and, you know, you've had, we had our first budget meeting on March the 9th where the budget was presented. You've had 2 work sessions where different department heads and outside organizations have come in and made their requests, and you all have given me direction on various items throughout that course, and I have inputted all of that information into the version that you see in front of you. And,
Don,
yes, sir,
give me a minute.
okay? I know that feeling.
We got too many screens.
We do have too many screens.
Go check on the other one, okay? Bill, you can eat turkey, can't you?
Mhm.
Okay, because we got some a sandwich tray in the
I
kitchen.
tell you,
For
don't
in-between.
buy for me. Don't think about me.
We got roast beef and turkey and some desserts and some sides, so. Good, all right.
You know, I can't take, the crazy thing is I can't take gel caps. Anything with gel in it, like Jell-O, I never even thought about adding a gel cap.
Well, all right.
Gelatin.
I'm going to run through very quickly the whole budget just to see if you all have any questions moving forward. But what I want to hit on this synopsis page is just one thing right here. If you forward this budget to public hearing as it is presented tonight, you'll see right here the fund balance at the end of the year. It's projecting that it will decrease by $1.6 million, but that figure is skewed. The FY '23 column here is what was approved back in May of '22. And so what I'm going to show you now, as I mentioned, at a previous meeting, our personal property tax revenue is just over $1 million more than what we had budgeted. And that's due to the fact that when you all approved the FY '23 budget, We did not know what the values of the used vehicles were going to be. And when the time came for Marlin to put out the tax bills, the values had shot way up. Some counties reduced their rates to assist, but when we had the budget discussion last year, we talked about the fact that Lancaster's personal property tax rate at $2.04 per hundred is one of the lowest around. Most counties are at $3.75 per hundred. And the fact that Lancaster's personal property tax rate had not been adjusted since 2007, you all felt that, it was okay to leave it at $2.04 per hundred. So leaving it at $2.04 per hundred has generated $1 million in extra revenue. So what I'm getting at is this decrease of 1.6 is not going to be what's actual. You can add that $1 million in revenue right there that I've handed out to you to this. So then you're looking at a deficit in the fund reserve of $619,000. But
Essentially level.
yeah, because last year, the FY23 budget, you all actually approved, adopted a budget that showed the fund balance decreasing by 1.05 million, and we know that actually it increased by 1.1 million when the audit was done. And that's due to the fact that for the past several years, we have had a tendency to underestimate our revenues and overestimate our expenditures to the general tune of close to $1 million a year. So if we're fortunate enough to continue that trend, we should more than make up for that $600 deficit there. So don't let that $1.6 million decrease in fund balance, taint your feeling about this budget. So.
Thank you for that.
What's that?
Thank you for that, because I was going to ask that question.
Okay, well, hopefully that gives you some peace of mind there. So, let me see. And I'm going to run through this.
Most of our departments tend to underspend their budgets, so.
Yeah, they do, yeah. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on revenues because we did that back on March 9th. Specifically to the personal property tax, what we did was, because again, we don't know the exact value of the used vehicles, but I took what had been collected as of March 9th and subtracted 10%. And for the budget number for FY24, and when the Commissioner of Revenue came before you last month, she said that the numbers that she's getting right now suggest a 10% reduction. So hopefully that's a good estimate. And all of the revenue estimates are based heavily on actuals from FY22. So, as I said, I'm not going to spend hardly any time on the revenues unless you all have any other questions.
Nope.
On the expense side, the Board of Supervisors, we talked at a previous meeting about possibly increasing the board's salary. It has not been increased since the year 2000. In the year 2000, it was $300 per month, and at that time, it was increased to the current level of $500 per month. We kind of left it at that and didn't talk about it anymore. But if you all want to adjust that, this is at the current level. We can discuss that if it's what you want to do.
I'll put a proposal on the table for that, if you would like to entertain that again, that I mentioned at the last meeting.
Okay. Do we need a motion or just a consensus?
Just a consensus at this point, because you're not going to vote on the budget you're not going to vote on it until your May 25th meeting. You're going to hold a public hearing at your April 27th meeting.
So the effect on this budget is only going to be minimal because it wouldn't take effect until January, so it would only be 6 months of the cost in this current budget. So my suggestion was that the current salaries are $6,000 for general members and $6,500 for the chair, correct?
Yes.
Hasn't been changed in 23 years, correct?
$6,600.
$6,600. So I think it should be, based on what the town did, they're getting 250 meetings, so we have about 20 meetings a year. At $500 a meeting, that would be $10,000 per regular member. and the chair would get 12,000. The budget increase to the budget would be a total of 22,000, but in this fiscal year, that would only amount to 11,000 because we'd only have to fund half of it because it wouldn't take effect until January 1 of 2024. We have 20 meetings a year, it's roughly $500 a meeting.
I'll go along with that.
So I'm just trying to digest what you said. So you suggesting $500 a meeting?
Yeah, basically. I mean, that's what the average would work out to. $4,000 increase to general members, but over the course of the budget, it's only an $11,000
Yeah, well,
effect this year.
You know, we pay by the month, so if you're talking 10,000 divided by 12, it's $833. So you'd be going from $500 a month to $833.
So that's about what it was increased last time. $200 went up last time, so we're talking 333 this time.
Percentage-wise, it's very close. I haven't done the math, but,
Over 20 years, it seems reasonable, and, I mean, we need, in my opinion, we need to make these jobs at least a little bit competitive and a little bit maybe appetizing to somebody to run for them.
Yeah, maybe we won't have people running unopposed like Craig and I. You know, I'm worth 10 times that amount.
Well, the Fairfax board just voted their salary to increase to $138,000 a year.
What to do with you, Bill?
Getting low.
do y'all want to adjust the budget to that effect?
Let's do it.
Mr. Lee? Okay, all right.
I just, I mean, I hadn't even thought about it. I really hadn't thought about the salary at all. I guess it's one of them things that's, yeah.
It's something you're gonna get criticized for no matter what you
Yeah.
do, so when you do it, it's just like anything else, so somebody's gotta do it eventually, and
Yeah.
Well, it hasn't been,
And now that I know it hasn't been done in 23 years, I guess I should have been thinking about it.
yeah.
But,
I started thinking about it when Mr. Swift came on board. He mentioned about we need to increase it. So I've been having it in the back of my mind, so thank you. Mr. Geese?
I'm sort of like Bill. I really hadn't thought about it. I know we mentioned it a couple times, but being that 23 years since the pay increase, I don't, if somebody complains about that, they'll just have to complain. I do think it needs to be increased at some point, and 23 years is probably the time, so that's just my thought.
Last year I told Don that as a chairman, I need a pay raise. Don said, I'm giving you $50.
That's right, yeah. Because you're chairman, that's
you
right.
better ask me next time.
Well, again, we can adjust the budget to reflect that, and then, as I said, you'll hold a public hearing at your April 27th meeting, and
One public hearing.
I don't think the county attorney's going to go along with that. I think he's going to suggest having a separate one for that. So he tries to keep us out of trouble.
So we will have it on the 27th.
We would have it on the 27th,
Then we
yes.
have to have another one, just for this.
It would be the same meeting.
Same
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
same
I
meeting,
got you.
same
Okay, I
meeting,
got you.
just a separate public hearing.
Two separate
I may be
public.
virtual for
Yeah.
that meeting.
I think we should push back a little bit on that one.
I can,
It's
I
not
can,
in favor of that.
I can let him know that and see what he says, but, he emailed me today and, said that it should be separate.
And that was just basically public perception,
Yes, yes,
that we was trying to
yeah,
shove something through.
exactly, yep. That it should be, separated so that the public would know that, the Board of Supervisors does have an increase proposed in this budget.
It
I
wasn't
can
trying to
assure you
hide
the
it.
paper's gonna alert everybody to it
Yes, yes.
after this budget
Yeah.
work session.
Probably, yes. But, as I said, it's been 23 years. And, VACO puts out every year a salary survey, and I think I mentioned what some local counties are, and I can tell them to you again if you like. Essex County, board members are 6,000, chairman is at 7,200. Let's see.
We have no inclination of when they changed theirs last either, so.
That's true. Matthews, the board is at 7,200, the chair is at 7,700. Middlesex, the board is at 8,000, the chair is at 8,500. Northumberland is at 6,000 for the board and 6,000 for the chair. Richmond County's at 6,000 for the board, 7,000 for the chair. Westmoreland is at 12,000 for the board and 13,000 for the chair. Of course, there's other localities on there, but I just was hitting the ones closest to us. So,
I think it's a reasonable proposal.
all right, I'll adjust the budget, because what will happen after tonight is I will advertise the public hearing for your April 27th meeting. State code says you have to wait at least 7 days before taking action on it, and what the board has decided to do in the past is, instead of having another special call meeting a week later to adopt the budget, would be to just adopt it at your regular May meeting. So that's the calendar that you all approved back in January. So whatever we come up with at the end of tonight is what I'll advertise, and then that's what the public hearing will reflect. On April 27th, you'll take public comment, and then you will adopt a budget at your May 25th meeting, I believe it is. So that's Board of Supervisors. County administration budget, the main thing there is the increase in the proposed assistant county administrator position and the creation of the recreation coordinator position. County attorney increase of $20,000 is what I mentioned about the two pending lawsuits, and the VACORP deductible for each makes up that difference. Auditor has an $800 increase.
We might need a few more if we have to keep bringing these ordinance cases to the court, which seems going to have to be the case next year.
Let's hope not. The last auditor contract has an $800 annual increase in their services. The real estate reassessment currently going on, I just took the amount that was budgeted for FY '23 and added the balance of the contract amount to that. So that's there.
Don, this is
Yes.
a question on the reassessment. That, I want to get the year, so that would take effect for 2024.
It will take effect January 1 of 2024, the new
We
values.
would see that reflection,
You won't see that until FY '25.
yeah.
Right, yeah. The new values will be mailed out in, let's see, I believe it's the 1st of November. And then the current reassessor will hold some hearings here. Then you all will have to seat a Board of Equalization in early 2024 that will conduct formal hearings for those who wish to protest the new values. And then, and the Board of Equalization can adjust those values if they see fit. And then those new values will reflect in the tax bills that go out in October of 2024. Commissioner Revenue, you all gave the green light for that budget at one of those work sessions. There's the amount budgeted for the Board of Equalization, and everything I can find is we're pretty standard with that. Treasurer's budget, no big change there. Information technology, we do have an assistant for Glenn budgeted in this FY '24 budget. That's why the increase there.
I got a question about that, and regarding our GIS system. There's been some question, or been some thought or question about like how we keep track of like special exceptions and where all that information goes, and how it gets housed over the years, and how it gets remembered and enforced, and none of that information is currently on our GIS. What would be the means of when we approve a special exception, adding that information on a tag to that parcel number? So if you looked it up, you could find the special exception notes on the GIS system. Would that be difficult, or is it even possible? Because to me, there's no way to track this system. It's kind of what I've been thinking about with solar. You're not going to be here forever. We're not going to be here forever. And as people go and come,
Yeah.
like, I feel like we're out of compliance on some of these special exceptions already. Some people have already gone beyond what they were originally approved for.
When the special exception is just scanned into our scan file, which, documents every parcel in the county, but that's basically in-house. That scan file is not out to the public, is it, Glenn?
In order to link it to the GIS, I guess there's two schools of thought there as far as we could either build a GIS layer that would have that information, or probably, in my opinion, it would be more efficient to just, to build a database and link the data in the database to GIS, which is easy enough to do.
Could we get an intern in here to help you do that?
Yeah.
Or somebody like that?
We'd be building a database. Either way we do it, whether it's a GIS layer or a database, it would have to be done from scratch, because we don't, like Don says, we have the information in the scan file, but we don't really, we don't have an existing database. So it would be a new build.
And it's essentially an honor system at this point, correct? If no one complains, then it's just up to the
That's
people
true.
to follow the rules.
Yeah, complaint-based, yeah.
Really
So
all-
can you edit the GIS?
Yes.
So is there a place in there for notes
We can make a place for notes, yes.
that the public would have access to and see?
Yeah, the problem with doing it as, as part of the existing parcel layer is the fact that these parcels go through changes all the time as far as being merged together and split off into multiple parcels, and it would be a little bit difficult maybe to keep track of, it would be a little bit more difficult to keep track of it as a GIS layer than it would be as its own separate data set, in my opinion.
So how would that separate data set work? If I went to looked up a particular parcel, said there'd be something else that would say there's a special exception tied to that, and
Well, it would work the same, basically would work the same way the existing GIS does. When you click on a parcel, as it stands right now, the actual parcel data is separate from the ownership data, the assessment data that you see when you click on a particular parcel. They're just, when you click the mouse to look at the data for that parcel, it makes the link between the GIS layer and the parcel database. It uses the parcel number or tax map number as a unique identifier that we can do that. We can do that that layer for the special exceptions or any zoning data the same way. Just by linking.
I mean, I'm thinking like if you have an Airbnb approved and it's registered, then we should be able to go to the GIS, and if I looked up that parcel number, it should say something, this is an Airbnb property.
Yeah. As it stands right now, what you've got over there in the building office right now is like Don mentioned, a scan file that's basically organized by tax map number. That's basically the file name.
Because I think we have a pretty good GIS system, but I think we could make it even better with some additional things that I feel is totally like, most concerning me to solar, because I don't know even if the current ones that have been built are in compliance with what they were approved.
Yeah, I mean, I feel certain that they are, except for maybe grass cutting at some point, because I know Matt has brought that to my attention, but, we've called the property owner, and they've had it taken care of. But that's something that we could think about. I mean, I've just never really thought about it because I've always been used to pulling up the scan file myself, but like I said, that's just for us in-house. It's not out there for public consumption.
To me, it's been bubbling up in my idea just because of the new ordinances and new proposals that have been coming before us. But to me, the problem is enforcement. And if we don't have any idea of what has been approved, it's hard to enforce the rules or the ordinances.
That's very true.
And especially, we're only temporary here in these seats, and when future administrations come down the pike, it'd be awfully easy if they could just look up a parcel number and know immediately what special exceptions were approved and what what caveats were applied to it.
I mean, it's a great idea.
I mean, it'd be nice for the public to have access to that information too, since it is a public record.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, the more I mean, I don't want to create more work for you, but the more, but that's why I said, can we get an intern in here, basically? We should get some interns to help you every year, if those would be beneficial to you to help
Yeah.
on some of these projects that
yeah, that's not I mean, it's a good idea.
GIS is sort of a, like, data entry job, and you give that to a grunt assistant who's just learning the process, and they get some experience and get their feet wet, and then run for the hills.
Yeah, once you just, the hardest thing is the database design. Once you've got that laid out and it's strictly a matter of data entry, you're correct.
How much behind would you say our GIS system is from current like everything being up to date? All the records, all the financial transactions and stuff, how far are we running behind?
Well, there's always going to be a delay because I get the information for the GIS from the commissioner's system, and because they only do the once a year billing, and of course the bill that you receive in the fall is based on the ownership of record back on January the 1st. There's always even when I update the database or the GIS data in the fall, it's always already 9 months old.
Yeah.
And we've had this conversation in-house before, and it really comes down to how much extra workload the commissioner can take on, and whether or not she needs another employee just to keep it more up to date
Yeah, it would require additional employees in her office. I mean, she's made that statement before. I mean, and we've talked about how to get it real time, but it would never truly be real time because the transactions that are recorded in the clerk's office go to the state and then come back to the Commissioner of Revenue's office.
Well, they get recorded into the system, and
Yeah.
But if we had built a special exception database layer, once we approved another one, adding that data would be fairly simple.
yeah,
It'd just be adding another line to a
Yeah.
spreadsheet, essentially, right?
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good idea.
So we can't be linked, we can't have it linked so that it's only one entry and that comes from the commissioner's office? It sounds like she's entering, then bringing it to you to enter, and that does sound like a lot of work.
The way the parcel data is updated, it's done by them in the commissioner's office, and then I just download the entire database. When I'm ready to update the GIS, I just download the entire database. After they're done doing all of their annual updates, and it's about the same point in time when they send
They're updating, you're just purging. all
You just take the
files.
file and load it into the GIS
Yeah.
system.
Gotcha.
Yeah, at some point in time, right after they're ready to send the data to whoever prints and prints and mails the tax bills, that's when I get it. And I just do it all at one time.
But as you said, that's already 9 months old because it's based on January 1.
Exactly.
I mean, those would be two that I would think to be looked at, would be special exceptions and Airbnbs.
Yeah. Well, if the short-term rental ordinance gets passed, then the Airbnbs would be a special exception as well. So that would, I mean, it's a good idea. I mean,
Without enforcement, new rules are worthless. I mean,
Absolutely.
all rules are worthless without enforcement.
very true. Well, Glenn, it seems like that could be a starting to do task for a new assistant right there,
Depends on who you get, I guess. It's just like we've been talking about, we've got a lot of directions that we can take them.
Yeah.
And a lot of places we can send to get their feet wet, and it just depends on who we get and what kind of previous experience they have.
Well, do we ever take any interns in here at all?
We have done that in the past on a limited basis, not to any great extent, but we have done it.
Most of the work that we did to put together the scan file in the building office was done by interns.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
All right.
well, good idea.
Carry on.
Electoral board and registrar, no big changes there. Into the court system, nothing really jumps out here. We talked about the adult drug court, and this was entered into by the county, I want to say maybe 5 years ago, and you remember Tony Spencer talked about it a little bit when he was here. May try to do a little more investigation on that. If we're only sending one person to it, maybe we need to look at that in the future. J&DR, not a whole lot there. Again, I don't put grants in because I'm not positive that we're going to get them. CASA is straight. The victim witness, we've got a new victim witness director, and because we have a new one, there's a reduction in the salary, which the Commonwealth's attorney used that savings to fund his new part-time position. Which, when he submitted the budget, we anticipated it being full-time. Turns out that it's part-time, so the savings on the fringes there, I transferred over to a new building inspector position, as you'll see a little bit later. Sheriff's office budget is, you heard from Sheriff McCraney when he came in. Again, I don't put the grants in. School resource officer, we have 2. Volunteer fire departments with the 5% increases in here.
Back up a minute. How many school resource officers do they have now?
2.
2.
Yeah, one at the middle school and one at the high school. Yep. There's the 5% increase that Matt, the fire departments wanted, that's built in. I left the $1,200 for med flight, as you all decided at your last work session, after Matt explained how that system works as part of the state police. And even though it's the third call, they have had 53 calls in Lancaster County over the past 4 years. So you all gave me the direction to leave that in this year. So that's there. Paid rescue services, Matt adjusted the pay scale that he developed a few years ago. This is a little bit more than the 5% across the board, but given the fact that we've budgeted for 14 full-time positions ever since I've been in this chair, and we've only been able to fill on a consistent basis 12 of them because there's such a limited pool of qualified folks out there. I think this is.
You go ahead and start looking into what a salary study is going to, proposal would cost
Yeah,
us.
Jessica and I have already talked about that and getting some proposals together for that.
Okay.
Yep. I did include the LEMPG grant because that's pretty much a given every year. That's in there. A couple other departments, Department of Forestry, that's required by code, so that when we have a woods fire, they'll send the plow to plow the line around it. The jail expenditures.
Sounds like extortion. You don't pay the fee, we're not going to give you fire protection.
It's 9 cents per acre.
Isn't there some place like Georgia where the fire departments, if you don't pay the fire fee, they just sit there and watch your house burn?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, air volunteers would never let that happen, I can tell you that. They're
They break
good.
out the marshmallows?
They're a good bunch of folks. But no, that forestry fee, I think it's 9 cents per acre of forest land in the county is how that comes out. And it's like $3,992 or something. So that's why we budget 4,000. But
Unfunded mandate.
so let's see what else here. Here's a building inspection. I updated this figure after the last work session to include a third building inspector there.
That should make a big difference.
It should, definitely. You know, it all depends, as Glenn said, depends on, you know, what kind of person you get. If we get somebody who already has some certifications, it'll go quickly. If you get somebody who you got to train, you know, from day one, it's going to be a little bit slower. But, you know, even somebody green can do some of the very simplest inspections, like footings and things like that. So it's got to help.
We have somebody that we can recruit?
Not that I'm aware of right now. So, I'll take that back. I actually had somebody on the phone today tell me of someone who may be interested in a part-time building inspector position, but this would be a full-time position.
So we're pulling, so their new software will not be part of the Bright system. Just for the heck of it, if we had a system that was a little bit more sophisticated than the Bright system, would we have to do that? Are we having to pull them off because of the limitation of the Bright system?
That's the main reason that they are looking to move from the Bright system is the shortcoming with the Bright system as it pertains to the provision of citizen services online, as far as being able, citizens being able to go online and apply for building permits, or at least start the building permit process, and be able to track the process of the permit issuing process and the inspection
So
process.
those are financial transactions, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how will those financial transactions then be hand inputted into the Bright system?
Well, that was one of the questions we had early on, and I haven't attended those Camino meetings in a long time, so Glenn, you have to take that.
There's not going to be much difference, as I understand it, in the way it's being done right now. They're going to, I still believe they're going to manually enter the information into the Bright system based on reports that are provided to them by the building office.
Yeah, but it'll be an end-of-day report run, just like it is now.
Yeah.
Only the end-of-day report now is Bright System, and the end-of-day report after you switch to Camino will be Camino.
I mean, there's data entry into Bright no matter whether you're doing
Yeah.
it. So, I mean, it's just not a seamless connection is what it seems like, so.
And one other thing about the new system that I remember from the meetings that I attended early on before they started getting down in the weeds, and I figured I didn't need to be into that, this new system will help with remote capability. Like the building inspectors will have laptops out in the field. They'll be able to enter real-time building inspection results in the field while they're in the field instead of having to come back to the office and input them into the computer.
That's super time consuming.
Yeah, and it also, I think, will generate an email once that inspection has been done. That email goes to the contact information that's associated with that building permit, so they'll know, hey, I've been approved or I've been rejected, by looking at their phone. So that, I think the remote advantages to that Camino system is another plus.
That software is 100% in the cloud, and so the building inspectors have access to it when they're out in the field. The public has access to it, for the purpose of applying for building permits and requesting inspections.
Yeah. So it should speed things up quite a
So
bit.
I'll respect the decision to stay with Bright because of the age of our employees, but I am also from the school where we never stop learning regardless of our age. And
Yeah.
I just want our county to have the best system that links everything together. But it's your call in the end.
And what you've been talking about should help with the contractors getting their information real fast.
Yeah. They'll be notified, like I said, with an email or text, I'm not sure, maybe both.
I mean, at the end of the day, the Bright system is a financial system, and it's
It
just
is.
for purchasing, payroll, all the stuff that financial
Yeah.
transactions. So that's the element where it intersects with the building officials, where the people are paying permits and submitting fees for whatever. Those financial transactions have to make their way through that system, but then have to take a report. And
Yeah.
some data person has to take the report and then enter those financial transactions into
Yeah.
the Bright system. But that has to happen in any system, because I did the same thing monthly in the RDA system in Northumberland. I took the monthly deposits and hand entered them all.
Yeah. You have to grab one of the other ones there.
You talk too much.
Yeah, moving on from the Bright system is a conversation worth having, I think, but there's other stakeholders involved too, with specifically Commissioner of Revenue, Treasurer, school system, et cetera.
And you'd usher in a serious retirement
Yeah. Well, we actually looked at different systems a few years ago. Glenn did the research, and I think he came up with three different ones. But you're looking at a very sizable investment. You're talking probably
$1 million at least.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, close to $500,000,
So
certainly
that's just
at
for the
least.
system, but you'd have to think about training, which would cost you at least $500,000.
Yeah,
Then you also gotta think about the migration of what you got now over to that new
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
Is everything gonna be compatible? Do you
Yep.
have to, rewrite software just to migrate what we got now
Yeah.
to a new system? That can be a problem.
yeah.
No, don't rock the boat necessarily if it's not.
I come from the old school that if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it.
We've had some stories that we heard from other localities where they actually made the investment to go to a new system
Yeah.
and got hung up in the data migration part and ended up going back to Bright.
Going back to Bright, yeah.
That can be a problem.
Yeah.
It can be a big problem.
You never know what headaches
Yeah.
might loom down the road.
Yeah. So,
It would be a wholesale like overhaul is what it would be.
yeah, it would be, yep. Refuse is consistent, that's based on volume, how much trash we get. General properties, I do show a new maintenance person here, another full-time position there in that budget.
An additional maintenance person.
What's that?
Additional maintenance person.
An additional maintenance person, yes. Health Department had an increase, very small. Free health clinic, this reflects going back to a level funding from FY '23, as Jeannie Nelson stated at the work session. Community Services Board, CSB, has a small increase. Again, this is tied, that and the Health Department are both tied to state code. Bay Aging has a little increase, and let's see, who was it? Was it Ken Pollock or Mr. Goad? They did send me the information after the last meeting on what it would cost the county to move that half bus to a full bus, and it was, I intended to print that off, but I didn't. It was like just under 22,000 to do that. So, and I saw an article in either the Northumberland Echo or the Northern Neck News talking about that Uber type system that they mentioned at that work session. But maybe all that's for additional discussion at a later time, and maybe bringing Kilmarnock into that discussion, because that's probably where it would be used the most. But the small increase there for Bay Aging. Legal Aid Works, you all decided to fund them again. The last time they were funded was back in 2018. The Haven Crisis Shelter, small increase, $400. CSA, this seems to be a good estimate. I've seen this run all the way from 400 to $1 million. So depending on the number of kids that are using those services. Social Services has an increase in the local share. The local share is $622,978. Boys and Girls Club, this reflects their request of $45,000. I know you all talked about maybe in the future funding the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club at the same amount, but their request was for 45, so that's what's reflected here. And the Healthy Harvest Food Bank had a $5,000 increase to $10,000. RCC is just a small increase there. YMCA was level funded. Again, level funding on the Mary Ball Museum. They now call themselves Lancaster, Virginia Historical Society. Community Library, they had requested 20,000. You all decided on 10, so that's reflected there. Youth Club, level funding. Rappahannock River Basin Commission has been $1,000 for forever, I think. Land Use
Most efficient
Administration.
government program there is. Never asked for an increase.
Nothing there, Department of Housing, nothing there. Level funding, PDC. Broadband Authority has quite a substantial decrease based on the fact that by the end of 2023, their job is going to be very limited at that point, just to mainly, I think, after the end of '23, once the fiber broadband is in place, their goal would be to try to figure out how to, I think, keep plans affordable moving forward.
And a franchise agreement with Breeze Line.
What's that?
And to get that, finally get that franchise agreement, maybe?
Yeah, that's, yes, yeah.
Maybe we can, once we have some competitors, we can put some more pressure on them.
Yeah, and they've got a draft of that franchise agreement now, so. Soil and Water Conservation District level funded, Wetlands Board, what do we budget for 9 meetings a year there? BZA, we budget for 4 meetings a year. Planning Commission, we budget for 11 meetings a year. Extension Service had an increase, but that was due to an additional position that was filled. Level funding from River Realm and a small increase from the Bay Consortium.
Don, back to the BZA
BZA.
we know that one complaint needs to head to the BZA that's on that boathouse.
Yeah,
With the staff changes, let's make sure Olivia is aware of that and that's,
she is.
is marching forward, because I think it's been kind of sitting on the desk for a little bit.
Yeah, she's aware of it.
The gentleman, I just realized, because I spoke to the group this past weekend, and he asked me about where it was standing. I was like, I don't know, because there's been some staff changes.
Well, not only that, but Lewis Lee passed away as well, the chairman of the BZA. So we were trying to schedule a BZA meeting in April, and due to all of those things, it just kind of got pushed back. So. The landfill closure, we'll be paying on that forever. I had, in FY '23, the amount was increased because we purchased the additional land adjacent to it as a buffer, so that's
We're going
why.
to develop that in solar, and it's going to start paying us.
That's a possibility. That is a possibility. There are a lot of landfills, closed landfills across the state that have solar
It's a
panels
good
on.
use for it. I mean, if you're going to put solar somewhere, that'd be a good place
Yeah.
for it.
It depends on how close they are to the transmission line, which this one,
It could be a distribution.
yeah, that's right,
Solar,
distribution
yeah.
size, yeah. That's right.
Maybe we need to reach out to somebody.
We should be
Yeah.
we should talk to what is it, 3 counties that are involved in it?
Call
Yeah,
back
Richmond,
everyone
Richmond,
chased
Northumberland,
away.
You
Lancaster,
should
yeah.
at least see if the other counties are even, would entertain the idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a
I'm
bad.
sure Richmond County would be in
Yeah.
favor of it. I mean,
Yeah, it's not a bad, yeah, because they're very pro-solar, for
The
sure.
one that we halted on Route 3, she wanted to offer her.
So, let's see what else we got here. This is the school budget. Now, this reflects the budget that was approved by the school board and advertised by the Board of Supervisors. It did include a $34,000 increase over FY '23, which you had your public hearing at your March 30th meeting on the school budget, and at 7 o'clock, you'll adopt a school budget. And so this reflects what the school board approved and you all advertised. Here's the capital improvement budget part of it, and again, the items are, capital improvement in this budget is separated between school items on this page and then county items on this page. Debt service, we've gone over that before. And there's the debt service schedules, which we've gone over before. And that is the total overall budget. And in the copies that you have, there is a personnel section at the back of it. I think it starts on page 53, which lists all the employees in the various departments and where they're at, for your knowledge. So you can have that. So, if you all don't have any other questions, I'll make the adjustment for the salary for the Board of Supervisors. And then that's what I will advertise for public hearing at your April 27th meeting. And you won't take any action that night. Code won't allow it. You'll adopt the budget at your May 25th meeting. So what that carries us to is the draft tax rate ordinance. Let me see. And as I've told you before, the budget is built on existing tax rates, 63-cent real estate and $2.04 for personal property, and basically a zero boat tax. And you can see the other categories there. So this would be the tax rate ordinance, and because you all set tax rates by an ordinance has to be advertised twice. The actual budget only has to be advertised once, which is a little strange to me, because it's a $45 million budget, only has to be advertised once, and I've got an ordinance here that has to be advertised twice, but that's what code says. So, the tax rate ordinance will be advertised for a public hearing at your May meeting, but you'll adopt it all that same night, the tax rate ordinance and the budget.
As far as the tax rate, I'm satisfied with where it is. Okay.
That's where I'm at.
Yep, me too.
Leave it alone.
So that's 3, I am 2, 4, 5. Okay.
I am as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and,
No
and,
new
you know,
taxes.
This will be a discussion, the tax rates for next year, because of the reassessment. Because when the new values come in, you know, we have to determine an equalized rate that will generate the same amount of revenue, and then you all decide, you know, where you want to go from that equalized rate. So,
And next year, we'll talk about the elderly.
yeah, you mentioned that earlier. We can, we may be able to talk about that at any time during the year, because that's local ordinance. And we could talk about that at a future meeting. It wouldn't take effect until, I think that goes by calendar year and not fiscal year, but,
Maybe what we do with that is
How do we
get a little break and Marlon just put the information together on.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so
I can let her know that you all are interested in talking about those, and let her begin to
Yeah.
gather some information.
Like to know how the current number is chosen.
Yeah, right now, it's about 200,000 a year that is deferred with those exemptions. So it's not a great deal of money, but that's what it was the past year. And those exemptions are for elderly and disabled and veterans.
Now, right, there's something for veterans, right?
Veterans, yes.
Don, at the 7 o'clock meeting, we should approve the school budget as a lump sum versus line item.
Yes.
And with that, and I'm not even sure you know the answer to this, but if monies are moved from one category to another, the school board has to approve that? Or is that
That would be a
is that
school-
wide open?
That would be an internal school discussion if it's
Yeah,
approved lump sum.
Yeah, what you all are going to approve is, you know, what you've approved the last several years is a lump sum.
Which generally means the
Which means
superintendent,
we're not earmarking monies
No.
for
No.
it.
No,
means the
they-
superintendent has deference to do
Yeah.
whatever they want.
Now,
If we approve
yeah.
by category, then they have to come back to us to change
To
it.
us.
Yeah, but as far as if you all approve lump sum, if the school board has to approve if they change money categories, I don't know the answer to that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it might just be administrative by.
I mean,
the
I would
superintendent.
sure that they would, the administration would bring that to the board and let them know, but, and they
Yeah,
might vote on it,
I
but
would think so, yeah.
just kind of like Don would do us if it was changing the budget for
Yeah,
some reason.
I would think so, yeah. Yeah, so at 7 o'clock, you all will adopt a budget, whether it's what's been advertised or whether it's modified. And then as part of that motion or a separate motion, you know, move that it be appropriated, if you choose to do so, by lump sum classification effective July 1 of '23.
Okay.
Is that it?
That's it, sir.
All right, well, you gonna
7:01,
recess?
we are adjourned and out of here.
Okay, we're recessed until 7 o'clock.
And there's some sandwiches in the kitchen.
to order. All right.
Come on in, Kenya, we having a party.
Yeah, that's true. I forget sometimes. Yeah. All right. This meeting back to order. We're here to approve and appropriate the school budget. Any comments before we say it in here? Go through this? All right. If not, then I move that the county adopts a fiscal year 2024 public school budget with a level funding of $11,857,124 under general operating and $98,491 under textbooks, which brings the school board's budget to $18,111,648. All right, you've heard the motion.
Now, let's just clarify a minute, that's level funding.
That's level funding.
That's level funding. The budget that was approved by the school board and advertised by the Board of Supervisors had the small increase of $34,692.
Right.
So what your motion is level funding with FY '23.
Right.
So it would be a small decrease of that $34,692 over what the school board had approved and the Board of Supervisors advertised.
Right, which
So-
will back their budget back to $18,111,648.
Yeah, very, very small numbers, but just want to make that clarification.
Okay. You've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Nay?
I said aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, the ayes
I
have
just
it.
said it loud.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now we move to appropriate, to approve the fiscal year 24 public school budget to be appropriated by lump sum, not category, but lump sum. Classification beginning July 1, 2023. You've heard that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, five votes.
All right.
All right, okay.
I
Like
move for
approved.
adjournment.
All right. All right, you've heard that motion. All in favor, say aye. Yes, ma'am.
While we were here, no, I think Bill did. We're here to say thank you. We appreciate all the work that you've done, and we thank you.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
We
I
appreciate the good working
And-
environment.
And yeah, and we know you plan on doing a study for next year, and we'll be ready to look forward to that. We're looking forward to that study. All right, so, thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. All right,
Well, I hate these long meetings.
all right. You heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.